standard IPN. It's at the bottom here, and you'll hit create. Once you get the drawing open, you're going to hit the create view button up in the top left. It looks like 3 squares and one of them's a blue square. You're going to click that. It's going to ask you where to find your assembly, so you'll use the icon with the folder and magnifying glass. You're going to find your assembly that you want to use. Then you'll hit open. And for our purpose in this class, it's very simple to just use the automatic. Manual means you're going to drag them apart separately. We're going to use the automatic because it's just a simple form. We're going to leave the create trails icon selected, but we're going to change the distance to 1.5, and then you're going to hit OK. And once you do that, it automatically brings in your drawing separated with these little blue lines. These are called trails. It just tells you where each part's supposed to go. For some reason yours doesn't separate correctly, you can use the tweak components button. Leave the direction selected and just click and hold what part you want to move. So if I wanted to move this up, I would move that up. So it just changes it a little bit like such, and then you can hit close. And this is just for picture purposes. Serves no other purpose but that. So then you'll do a file, save as. Save it as presentation 1 in your folder. So save in your network drive as presentation 1. If you get this dialog box, you're going to hit yes to all and then OK. It just makes the drawing a cohesive unit where if you change any of the single parts, it changes it in the presentation, which is kind of a nice feature. Once you do that, you have your presentation drawn. You're going to go to the menu button, go to new, and then you're going to click on this ANSI, the inch, and then IDW. So this is the standard drawing file. So then you're going to hit create. You're going to get a generic title block to appear. This border file is a C size border file. We look down here, C size. For our purpose, C size is going to be the best to use. It'll fit your presentation drawing and all your parts separately. It tells you who drew it and when you drew it, which is a kind of a nice feature. We can fill this title block out later, but for our purpose it's there. Alright, so placing the views, the first thing you want to do is place the presentation drawing. So we're going to go and select this first icon, which is base. When you get to this option in the file button, you're going to look for that presentation that you have. Once you find presentation 1, if you can't find it down here in the file type, make sure that this pull down menu says inventor files, IPT, IAM, IPN, and you should see it. You'll hit the open button, and before you click anything, you'll notice if you zoom out and kind of move your sheet over, it's trying to put it in there. Over here in your orientation, you want to select ISO top right. I guess you could do ISO top left, ISO top right. It's just whatever preference you want. For our purpose, we want ISO top right. And then this button right here, the style, we want it shaded. So if you click it, make sure that it looks like it's pushed down. If you're not sure, make sure that it's just pushed down. You'll be able to tell in a second. As you move your cursor over here, get the drawing to be about on the left side, on the third. Left click once and then right click and hit OK. That'll bring your drawing in. If it brought it in wireframe mode where this wasn't shaded, don't worry, we can change it later. So now that we have our presentation, we want to then put the single parts in to the right. So we're going to go up to the base. We're going to look for our base plate. Once we have our base plate, we're going to hit open. But it looks very, very big right now, so I want to change it to half scale. So I'm going to come over here in our drawing view dialog box, and I'm going to change this to half scale. Half scale. I want the front view, so you want your view to look like this. And as you left click once, as you move your cursor up, you can see it's starting to create other views. I want to then move my cursor up and left click once, move my cursor down and to the right to create the right side view, left click again, and then right click, hit create to make those three views. So the program makes your three front, top, and right side views for you, which is pretty awesome. Okay? Next, before we dimension or label these, we're just going to continue on and put the rest of these in. The next one we're going to do is the bearing. Looking at our drawing that we used, I believe it was sheet 1 from our page. You can see this is the top view. Okay, and then this view right here, this is called a section. Those little lines going at a 45-degree angle represent a section. See this A? That is a section. So what we want to do is just put in the top view and then create a section view. So we're replicating what we see right here. So what we're going to do is go to the base button. We're going to look for the bearing. Once you find your bearing, hit open. Again, change the scale. Mine came in at 3:1 for some reason, so I'm going to change it to half scale. And then my orientation to the right, I'm going to change it to top. As I move my cursor over here to the right, you can see I have the top view. I'm going to left click once. I don't want the side view. I just wanted that top view. So once I get to top view, before I click again, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to hit OK. Now that I have my top view, I'm going to create a section from this. Up in my create section of my place views tab, there's a button called section. I'm going to left click that once. So right now my screen's telling me to select a view or a sketch. I want this view, so as that red box appears around my object, I'm going to left click once. My cursor changes to a crosshair. It's telling me to enter the endpoints of my section. So I want to go and wait for the dotted line to show up so I'm exactly in the middle, like that. Once I'm above it with those dotted lines, I'm going to left click once. And I'm going to draw a line straight down through the object. It doesn't matter how far down. But once I get past the object, I'm going to left click again to finish that straight line. Then right click and hit continue. As you see, as I move my cursor, it's creating the section. Whatever side you need to get this little circle to appear, the little hole in the side, so not this side but this one that has the little hole, either it's up or down or left or right. As long as you get the view that has the hole in it, you're going to left click and it's going to create that view and it labels it. We can move these if you click and hold when the red box pops up, so it's nice and neat. The next one, so we have this one. Now we have this one. We're going to do the collar. So if we open up the page 2, here's the collar. It has the top view and then a section view. So what we're going to do is go to the base button. I'm going to look for my collar. I'm going to hit open. Again, it put it in all huge, so I'm going to change the scale over here to half scale. I hit OK. Or no, sorry. I'm going to hit top view. Left click once, right click, hit OK. Now that I have my top view, I'm going to create a section. I'm going to select the object I want to make a section of. I'm going to draw a line from top to bottom, straight up, not crooked like this, but I want it straight up and down. I'm going to left click once I get to the bottom. Right click, continue, drag my cursor to the side and left click. Now I have that section. Lastly, I'm going to put the cap screw in. So I'm going to hit base, look for cap screw. I'm going to hit open. I'm going to look for the view that shows the slot missing out of it, like that, the flathead slot. I'm going to change my scale to 1:1. Half scale would be too small. So as long as I have this one view like this, I'm going to left click once, right click and hit OK. Now I have that view. Once I have all these done, placed in, I'm going to then dimension them, which we'll go over next episode.